Welcome to the bunker, everyone. Today, we've got a triple retro review. We're taking a look at retro Duke, Scarlett, and Recondo. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get Recondo out of the way, as that is just a repaint. So, let's start with him. I think this is what a lot of G.I. Joe fans were expecting when we would get our first Recondo instead of the Tiger Force, but it's great that we finally got him in his plain colors now. And actually, I think it's better than the Tiger Force. I don't know, just something about the colors makes it a bit more welcoming to the eyes, I suppose, instead of hostile. The sculpt is still pretty good. Still have that little weird issue that the chest looks different plastic-wise than the rest of the plastic, but it's fine. The face still looks magnificent. Actually, I think it might look better than the original. And overall, yeah, it's a nice repaint, and I definitely recommend picking this one up. The accessories are the exact same as the Tiger Force, just repainted or recolored, whatever. And yeah, looks good on him. And as for the articulation, it's actually a lot better. The joint tolerances are not super tight like the original one was, so it's nice to feel like you can pose him without worrying you're gonna break something off. So honestly, between the two, this is the better one. Alright, now that we have that out of the way, let's begin with the other two. Let's start with Scarlett. Now, as I said last year on my top worst Joes video, the Scarlett we had was great, but definitely needed an upgrade. This is that upgrade. Beautifully done. They managed to make that outfit really work in classified scale, which that was my big concern, because that outfit, like Gambit, what is it that she's wearing kind of thing. So it still looks great. The sculpt is fantastic. What minimal paint applications there are help the figure pop, and look at that face sculpt. That is beautiful. It really has a lifelike quality, and I love the fact that they got little freckles on her, so that is beautiful. All around, the sculpt and paint is very well done, especially like the little hidden pistols and the throwing stars on her. For Scarlett's accessories, first of all, man, that is a very high accessory count, and I'm all for it. Love me some accessories. So we're going to start with the pistol, which we've seen before, but still, it's painted nicely, and yeah, it looks pretty good. We have the cartoon laser rifle, which I'm drawing a blank on the name, so comment below on what its name is. But it looks good. We saw this with Grunt, and yeah, I think it fits for her. Me personally, I prefer lead slingers than laser blasters, but overall, it's still good. She's got a very lovely M16, and we saw this again with Grunt, but still, in these colors, it's actually pretty good. The knife that she's included with is simple, but it really does the job well, so it's nice. She's got a pair of fists if she needs to go bare knuckle. And technically an accessory, she's got the ponytail that attaches via a plug. However, if you want a more action-y pose, you can switch it out with an action ponytail. And if you have that plugged in, you can put on the included backpack. And we saw this with the Valkyries, so it's still nicely done. I like the color they went with. And what's cool is you can use this backpack to hold her rifles. That's pretty cool. She's got the G.I. Joe display base. And then finally, we come to her signature weapon, the crossbow. I stated in that Worst Joe video that the crossbow that came with that original Scarlett kept breaking apart on me. And I honestly hated it, but I'm happy to say that this crossbow is a massive improvement on how they did it. It looks a lot better too, and yeah, it's just a nice looking crossbow. And she's included with 4 bolts, which I love that you can actually tab in a bolt into the crossbow. So that's pretty cool. And the ones that aren't in use just go right into the quiver. So yeah, it's really well done. I do love all the accessories that come with this character. It's just awesome. So for the articulation, I'll save that segment when I go about Dukes because I have something to say about that. So just bear with me. But overall, this is easily the best Scarlett that the Wave has produced. So I definitely love this thing. And now we come to the man himself, Sergeant Conrad Hauser, aka Duke. Now, I've got a bit of a personal connection with this character, as when I first got that original Duke figure, I was just getting him to use as background characters for a US agent picture. But it's because of that figure that I realized how awesome this line is, and because of realizing how awesome this line is, I realized how awesome G.I. Joe is. So it's thanks to that original figure that I became a fan of G.I. Joe. And so when I heard they were putting out a retro version, my interest was definitely piqued. I mean, I thought that original one was pretty well done and set the standard issue for what they needed to do. This figure, however, takes that and blows it out of the water because this new version of Duke is easily the best they've done. With a complete new sculpt, it just has that G.I. Joe Real American Hero vibe to it. And I really think they nailed Duke with this figure. That first one was a great first attempt, but with having this in hand, yeah, you did a good job. They did a good job, Hasbro. You did good. It's just beautifully done. The paint applications, again, while minor, help pop out certain details kind of thing. And that face sculpt, man, that you look at it and it's just like, yeah, that's Duke. That's the leader. So it is really well done. For his accessories, that's also really well done. So let's go ahead and get this part out of the way. He comes with that G.I. Joe stand that all retro Joes come with. So it's nice and helps add to your collection of stands that are increasingly growing every time you get a figure from the retro wave. Now this is the only accessory that carried over from that original Duke, and that's the backpack. But they did give it a nice new paint job, and I honestly think it still works for this figure. And I do like that little inscription. It's so tiny, yet it's so crisp and clean. And yeah, you can't help but read it and want to go, Yo Joe. So, very nicely done. He's got a brand new helmet with a switch down visor, which looks pretty cool. But me personally, I'm going to display him without the helmet. So, some other random troop's going to get this helmet. He's got a pair of binoculars, which look really cool. I like that the strap is flexible enough that if you want to hold them up while he's wearing it kind of thing, you can do that. So very nicely done. He's got a pair of fists in case he needs to go bare knuckle against Cobra Commander. And he's got a very nicely done knife. It's not just a plain old knife though, like there's a nice bit of gold on the hilt, so it kind of gives it a more leader quality to it, like the leader of this army would have a more ornate knife kind of thing. So it looks good and it fits him, so very well done. I like that it can just sheath right into that little sheath. For the other weaponry, he's got his pistol, which looks pretty cool. Looks like a bit of a 9mm with a specialized compensator on it. I don't know, I'm not going to claim to be a gun expert, but comment down below if it was based off of anything. Like Scarlett, he's got the cartoon rifle, which still looks good, even with the new paint job. I think it looks a little different than Grunt's, so it's nice that there's differentiation between the two weapons, so that's nice. And then finally, we have the grease gun that originally came with Stalker. But I think it kind of fits him. It looks great, I like the color, but me personally, I'm just going to give him Scarlett's M16. I think that looks cooler. So we're now at the articulation segment, and the thing is with the G.I. Joe Classified series, they pretty much nailed down how they're doing the articulation, and it rarely, if at all, changes from figure to figure. So instead of just saying it's the tried and true, I'm going to state what they changed and how it benefits or hinders the character. So for Scarlett, it is a huge improvement over the original, especially the double hinge joints on the elbows and a bicep swivel, so that makes her even more expressive. So I love that. For Duke, I honestly think it was a good idea to go with a ball joint system in the chest instead of that crunch, as it definitely fits this new mold. And you can really get him in some dynamic poses. So I really like the new articulation. So yeah, definite improvements, and I can't wait to see more. For comparison, here is Recondo, Scarlett, and Duke with the original Recondo, Scarlett, and Duke. And I think I've said it throughout this whole review, these are definite upgrades over those original. The originals were very good first attempts at the time that they were put out. And they took what was there for the originals and either perfected what might have been a bit broken or just improved it entirely. So it's very well done. And then for the rest of the Joe retro waves, here they are with Gung Ho, Snake Eyes, and Lady J. And they easily go great with the rest of the retro wave. Overall, these three figures are amazing. While the Recondo is just a recolor, it still takes what was there with that original figure and improves it with especially the joint tolerances. The chest thing is still a little weird, but I can easily overlook it. It is very well done. The Scarlett and Duke are definitely improvements over their original first wave counterparts. So if you're satisfied with your versions, fine. I'm not going to try to argue that. But me personally, my original ones are going back in the box, and these retro ones are staying out on the shelf. These are the new definitive Scarlett and Dukes. And I highly recommend picking them up. And if you're okay with your Tiger Force Recondo and don't need the original, that's fine. But for my money's worth, I'm happy I picked him up as well.